In 1980, Hungarian-born Canadian singer-songwriter guitarist BB Gabor released his first of two albums, simply titled BB Gabor, and from it, the side 2 opener, Underground World. Okay, I love that power riff, that opening, just the anthemic, that. Yeah, basically, this album is divided into two distinct halves. The first side is his takes on various like quirky new wave styles. It's like it starts out like Metropolitan Life, Consumer. One song that's kind of a Kraftwerk send up, Laser Love. Yeah, Soviet Jewelry, kind of a Devo-y, nervy type sound. And side 2 is more in an FM West Coast AOR vein, and I gotta say, he feels a bit more authentic on side 2. Yeah, and this being one of the highlights. Let's. The shadows were low, lights were kind of dim. We hurried past each other, and no one said a word. We both had tunnel vision, the noise was getting louder. 7 seconds later in the underground world. Okay, I noticed those chorus guitars and everything. I just noticed there's a bit of new wave in his vocals here. He's doing that kind of skittery kind of those syllables. The lyrics aren't printed anywhere. Flash, I saw your frozen face. I caught your eye and I suddenly felt the stir. I thought I saw a mask and I had to look away as I tried to find my way through the underground world. Okay, the lyrics "Underground World" are probably somewhat of a reference to his. Let's see, he came to Canada in 1968 at age 20. So he's familiar with like the Eastern Bloc, like Cold War, that the situation out there, and the things that Eastern Europeans had to cope with back in under communist rule. Don't go back to the underground world. I'm never going back to the underground world. What are we doing in this underground world? Yeah, I'm never going back to the underground world. Yeah, that says. I love that guitar refrain right there. That takes us out of that, or that divides the chorus. That yeah, those bendy notes. Yeah, really over those anthemic kind of like exploding chords and that's chordal sequence. I'm never going back to the underground world. I'm never going back to the underground world. What are we doing in this underground world? Vocalist, actually. I'm appreciating him more as I listen closely this time, and like the way he held that note over those anthemic chords, like that no, that taking that A and rising, falling thirds and such, and yeah, and I also love the way that chorus resolved from like da na 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 da, like G C and then kind of like through these. Kind of like modulated a bit and such. And I remember looking over my shoulder. I had my plans and my secret suspicions. I took the last train just to spend the night with you. Appreciate how that guitar line, that neo that we were hearing at the beginning, is still playing consistently underneath his vocals. The composition is really just thematic and cohesive and just really well organized and full of detail and various points of interest. See you through the darkness of the underground world. Don't wanna go back to the underground world. I'm never going back to the underground world. What are we doing in this underground world? those harmonies too. The underground, the way they're singing, the way those background guys are singing in this kind of muted tone.
Going back to the underground world. What are we doing in this underground world? I'm never going back. 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 I'm never going back to the underground. Don't wanna go back. Don't wanna go back.
Just driving it out to the fade out. Yeah. What more can you do? I mean, just all this power. Yeah. And we get to hear that neo plenty of times.
I'm never going back. 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 Don't wanna go back. Don't wanna go back. I'm never going back. I'm never going back. I'm never going back. I'm never going back. Don't wanna go
I love how long that fade out lasts. It's like just keep on playing it out, playing it out. Such a powerful chorus. Yeah, you can't help it. Yeah, that song always kind of gets me pumped up. It's a great like getting ready type sound. Yeah, been a favorite of mine for about 20 years now. Yeah. On side two, we got that really kind of driving AOR type song that has like FM hit written all over it. I don't know how much attention this. I guess this album was quite popular in Canada. I don't know how much traction it. I only ever saw like one copy in the United States. I remember I first learned about this album when I was in Canada back in 1992, and then 4 years later or more, I find this copy at this strange record store I only went to once. That I think was only open briefly, like in way out east of East Portland, and I think that was the only copy I ever saw in the years that I was frequenting the used record stores. Yeah, here in the States. Anyway, as side two goes on, yeah, we got more kind of different send-ups of like the West Coast AOR style, like All the Time, another great track. Hunger, Poverty, and Misery seems to be a pastiche of Steely Dan. I'm hearing a lot of Steely Dan influence. There's a great cover of Big Yellow Taxi. And I got to know his version long before I knew that it was a Joni Mitchell song. I remember hearing her version on radio a couple of times and thinking, wait a minute, I know that chorus. Yeah, yeah, and put up a parking lot. Yeah, they paved paradise. Yeah, and I was thinking, and yeah, his version's a lot different. He makes it unrecognizable. He turns it into this real kind of like breakout anthem with that particularly just swells up at the end into this climactic finale. Yeah, and the other track I want to do here, another standout, which Oh Mama. This one seems to be a pastiche of well, a couple of guys in particular. Maybe I'll just save that and I'll start it. Then I'll tell you who this makes me think of. Yeah.
Oh mama, you make me feel good. Makes such a difference being understood. I'm so tired of explaining myself. I need your loving and I need your help. Oh mama, you make me feel so good.
Okay, we got that kind of swampy, sort of a clavinet-y, sort of funk rock thing going, and like the lyrics, of course, which seem to be about like a guy who keeps on returning to this one main woman after going around and just womanizing, kind of that 70s singles bar kind of vibe to it. Musically, though, this reminds me of three people in particular: Joe Walsh, Joe Vitale, and Jay Ferguson. Or the latter's band, JoJo Gunn, yeah. That kind of swamp rock mixed with like West Coast sound. Yeah, all three of those guys, had all worked together during the 70s and appeared on each other's albums. They kind of, and there was quite a bit of stylistic crossover, yeah. And he just sends the style up really well. Yeah, I yeah. Once again, new wave looks aside, I find him much more convincing in this vein than I do, say, kind of in his Kraftwerk moments or whatever.
Whoa, mama, don't tie me down. Don't even ask me why I mess around. You're so right, I'll do as you suggest. Stay out of these bars and get my ego a rest. Whoa, mama, you always know what's best.
I could just picture like a low budget video to the song with clips of him like in these like rinky dink singles bars of the 70s mixed with like scenes from like walking around the city with like the bright lights of like 70s like Super 8 footage and everything, and then cut to like photos of the band, him kind of maybe stylistically a couple of years ahead of the others, like all of them looking like really kind of like that studio body 70s West Coast look. Him kind of has the sort of forward new wave look, but you know, them all just being kind of products of that 70s like kind of sleazy type era. At least what this song's conveying, kind of a sleazy 70s vibe here. Okay, now I was trying to pinpoint exactly what that is. I was thinking this has a talk box on it. That would be another reference to what I've been talking about. Yeah, yeah, totally like mid 70s funk rock type. But I can't quite verify whether that's a talk box I'm hearing. I think I'm just hearing maybe kind of like some guitar tone, some pinched sort of oozing tone. Okay, now the harmonies are getting really thick. I love the way that they're just piling on. Yeah, we got some like a few guys, woman or two. Yeah, just yeah, like kind of like the Eagles in some of their best harmony moments.
I know I spread myself a little too thin. Maybe in time I'll grow to love you again. Oh, mama, you make me feel so good. Oh, mama, you make me feel so good.
Dig those like swampy tones of the guitar, and mixing with that clavinet.
Oh, mama, you make me feel so good.
Yeah, that was BB Gabor with Oh Mama, and before that, Underground World from his 1980 release, BB Gabor. Yeah, he would release one more album the following year. Yeah, Girls of the Future. I haven't heard that one actually. And then I don't know what he really did after that during the 80s, but I do know that he took his own life in 1990, sadly, yeah, at age 42. So great, yeah, sad story. And hold on just a second. Interestingly, UK-born, I guess Canadian-based jazz funk guitarist and studio musician David Bendith appears on this album. Yeah, I'm just learning that for the first time. Yeah, he put out a great album in 1979, Adrenaline. Yeah. And although only certain media points that out, yeah. And the two songs we just heard were BB Gabor originals, although a lot of the material, funny enough, on the other side, the new wave side, were co-writes, yeah. Anyway, yeah, BB Gabor, a great talent, yeah. Little known about him, but he, you know what, funny enough, I think that Despite leaving Hungary at a relatively young age, he retained some of that Eastern European quirkiness to him. In Eastern Europe during the 70s and 80s, you would get certain acts that would take certain styles and mix them with other, that would create these kind of combined styles that you just wouldn't hear in the UK or US because the musical boundaries and kind of tribalism that existed in the areas where these styles were originated from weren't a factor, like say in Hungary, Yugoslavia, yeah, places like that. Yeah, you could sometimes get like funk or kind of like West Coast mixed with new wave, mixed with jazz rock. Yeah. Anyway, for more Rubies and Sapphires from the BB Gabor album, see the directory of albums by Canadian artists linked in the description below for Red Hot tracks and tasty purples from this album and many other Canadian acts. Most of them quite different from BB Gabor because he's quite naughty for Canada or really anywhere for that matter. Yeah. Like and subscribe, follow me on social media, share the video, and leave a comment if there are any observations you have about the two tracks we just heard, the lyrics, the riffage, the nuances, the composition, yeah, the reference points, yeah, what artists and influences these brought to mind, yeah. And until next time, this is Zaragon, the world's most air travel trimaximalist, signing off.